Yeah, yeah, ay, can't keep my dick in my pants.
Hey, what's up guys, it's Keaton from Yumi and Creek. Today we're going to be doing the top 5 decks that don't require links. Like, you don't have to play links, you could kind of like you could play them, but they're kind of just gonna like be chilling in the extra, because most of these, like, they require the extra, but they only usually make like 1 to 2 exceeds, and some of them can get around it. So alright, let's start off at number 5. The Dino, otherwise like you could also call it Dino Yang Zing. It just depends on the variant. Like, both variants I kind of put as number 5, so I guess it's like a tie, like 5th and 6th, or a tie for 5th. But Dino Yang Zing or Dino, it really doesn't cost a lot. Like, it's relatively cheap. Most of these decks that I'm talking about are like relatively cheap, depending on like where you're coming from, like financially. But this deck is like really cheap. Like, you just need like 3 structure decks and like a few other cards, like just depending on what build you want to play. And if you want Yang Zings, then pick up Yang Zings as well. It has like a lot of plays. Like, it has millions of plays that people are still discovering, like, to this day. Like, there's just so many things that you can do with the deck, with like 1, 2, 3 card combos and stuff like that. So that is just so insane. And honestly, the best, like the biggest advantage of the entire deck is the fact that it's really hard to play against, because your opponent can have like 2 cards and then draw for turn, and just those 3 cards could like OTK you in 1 turn. It really just depends, obviously, but like just 1 to 2 cards can just beat you in a turn, and it's just insane. So that deck's number 5. Number 4 is Cosmo, and I picked Cosmo because right now there's not a lot of back row, and like the game's like very slow right now, because like there's not many link decks to play. And even when links like do get like a lot more support, like in the next set, like they still won't, like it'll still be like pretty slow. So like right now, until like maybe 2 sets from now, it's probably gonna be like very slow, especially if like the ban list hit Zoo and True Draco, then it's just gonna be very slow and like very confusing to play. But that deck can OTK like a lot. It doesn't require any extra at all. Like, you could play 0 and extra and it doesn't even matter. But it could OTK like pretty frequently. It has like a million different builds. The main 3 that I've like experienced and played against, back when it was like tier 1, tier 0, whatever you want to call it, is Fire King Island build, Pure build, and Demise. All of which like topped like many events, and that deck was just insane. So, and honestly, you could just like take that deck and splash it into something like such as Metal Foes or something. Like, Metal Foes aren't that good right now, or something like this Pendulum deck that we're seeing right here, just like summoning a ship, using Iris to pop the ship, summon out a Slip Rider hit a back row, or just something like that. Some creative plays. Number 3 is Spiral. I'm always gonna like say that Spiral is pretty good, just because like I like the deck. I like the way the deck plays, and I like the way that like every single card promotes like a different interaction. Like, the entire deck, like every card gets you to another card that can interact in a different way that the first card did. So like Drone, you're gonna stack the top 3, and if that resolves, then you're gonna summon an MST dude from your hand. Like it's just insane. And then you could use the first dude to boost up the MST from your hand. So it's just insane. There's like so many plays, and you have like a field spell that makes everything untargetable, which is so stupid. And then that deck is insanely cheap. Like, you could probably pick up the entire thing, even with Zoos if you wanted to, for like $75 max, and that's with side and extra if you want to play, like depending on the kind of build you want to play, because there are like a few variants of builds. Number 2, we're putting True King, True Draco. That was kind of like an obvious pick. This isn't really like this is probably the most expensive deck that's like on the list, but at the same time it's the most effective, or second most effective. Like, that deck, the only 2 expensive cards, I know there are like 3 ofs, but both of the most expensive cards in that are 3 Diagram and 3 Demise. You don't really have to, like, if you're playing this with Zoo, then you don't have to play the Demise, obviously, and you just play the 3 diagram, so it just kind of like lowers the cost. And it doesn't need an extra deck. Like you literally play like 0 and extra depending on the build. Like if you're playing pure True King, True Draco, you could like play what's that, Domain from Monarchs. You just play Domain and then just like have a like insanely high attack Masterpiece and like what's his name, Knuckle, and just everything, and just have so much consistency with the deck. It like kind of snowballs, so if you let one thing resolve, something else is going to resolve, and just all that stuff. And then number one, the cheapest and probably best deck that you don't need to play Links is Zoodiac, or just Zoo, just anything, just pure Zoo pretty much. And the most expensive card in that deck for a pure build is just Barrage, and Barrage is sitting at an all-time low of like $12 to $13 right now. That's not including shipping obviously, but like on TCG Player, that's where I always get my cards. It is like $12, $13, and that's insane. Like I never thought that card would be that low. I honestly thought it would get hit before it went that low, which is insane. Strike is cheap, which most people are main decking 3 Strike in that deck right now. That card's just insane right now. Like if somebody is playing Links, they have to play around that Strike, and like if you have the read that you have the Strike, then it's just insanely hard to play around. And the extra deck is cheap. Most people pretty much just have like all the commons and ultras like lying around, so it's like pretty much all you have to pick up is like Broad Bull, Tornado, and Trident, and that's pretty much it. Like you have the entire deck. Yeah, so those are the like top 5 decks that don't require Links. Yeah, thank you guys for watching. If y'all enjoyed this video, make sure like click that like button. I don't know where I'm pointing. I think it's over there. Click the like button, and I will come out with more videos sometime this week, if not next week. But yeah, I'll see what I can do. So yeah, thank you guys for watching, and I will see y'all in the next video. Peace.